Hello once again, and thanks for joining me on this final week of public speaking class. This week we're doing a speech about trying to convince you of a topic. It's a persuasive speech. So, what is my topic? Well, for the longest time I've been developing and researching the agriculture industry in response, and specifically the agriculture as far as cattle goes, mainly because I heard a story that cattle farming was destroying the environment, and it was even worse than the pollution of all of the fossil fuels we burn in the whole world. So I wanted to start doing research on that and getting some facts. And after doing that, a few weeks ago, I did my speech on the information that I gathered from that. And what I learned was that actually isn't true. And that kind of squashed my idea that I was going to do this speech about not eating beef because it's terrible for the environment and it's cruel and all these things that I thought I would find out when I discovered it's actually not entirely the whole story. The more I research, the more I read, the more I see the different perspectives of the topic. And so once I started realizing that these topics can have one side or another side and be somewhat polarizing, the actual truth of the matter is, and the thing that I want to try to persuade you of in this speech, is to do the research. If there's something that you think that you would feel strongly about, to take a stand on, do some homework and find out if the information that you're getting off of the media, off the internet, is actually true. Find the sources that this information is coming from and go and research those sources and find out how they come up with the information that they came up with. And is it really a factual piece of information that you can make a stand on? That's the thing that I would say for everyone that has strong feelings about a topic to do. And that's what I learned, was that just because you hear something or you watch a documentary or you read something doesn't necessarily mean that it's 100% accurate. What seems to be the case is this information is biased on a certain viewpoint that states one side or the other of an argument. But there's two sides of the argument, and really the more it seems like I look into these things and get all the honest facts, there isn't really a polarized left or right. It's usually somewhere towards the center, and it's usually not quite as bad one way or the other than what both groups tend to expand on. The idea of the fact that cattle farming is so horrible for the environment that it's worse than all the fossil fuels being burnt actually came from a piece of information that was disputed and then later repudiated by the source itself, that they made a miscalculation when they announced those results. And that's what these organizations like to latch onto and use as their definitive proof that things are worse than they actually are, so that they can have a stance and get a following. One of the things that I did learn from some of the information that I did research specifically about agriculture or farming that I could come up with was that processed meat, when you take say a beef product and you process it into say bologna or hot dogs, that has been factually proven to be really bad for your health. Eating that kind of processed meat does contribute to hardening of arteries, which can, over a prolonged period of time, can contribute to health issues and possibly a shorter lifespan. Another thing that I could say that's a fact is that due to the population growth, the demand for beef is increasing all the time, and that demand worldwide is producing a lot of the rainforest deforestation, so that they can create land for cattle to be on. That's not good, and that's something that is worth taking a stand on. We shouldn't be doing that because it's very bad for our environment. We require that rainforest. That's how we get our oxygen. That's how our earth survives itself. There are things that are damaging to the environment about cattle farming, but a lot of them also have to do with the food that's grown to feed the cattle. That isn't something that's going to change just by not having cattle. That food is still going to get grown regardless of whether we feed it to cattle or people. Another thing that they did research on that I found out about was that all of the food, if they didn't feed it to the cattle, would not necessarily make that food something that could be used to transport to other countries for feeding the hungry. That's something that the research suggests wouldn't happen anyways, due to the political climates of the places and things of that nature that make it more difficult than just having the food to get it to the people who need it is another issue altogether. So that's some things to think about. Anytime you feel strongly about a subject and feel like taking a stance on something, would be to definitely do your homework and get all the facts and dispute the facts and dig into the facts and find out for certain that those facts are not circumstantial, or that they're not something that has maybe a could. Is it a could, or is it a definite? And that's the thing also that I noticed, was that there are things that some people say this could cause that, but that doesn't necessarily mean it does. One of the things that is a big thing about eating red meat is that it causes cancer. That hasn't been proven. We don't know that for a fact. What we could potentially say is that it could. We don't really know. And that's another thing that you don't find out from researching. We can't find information that we don't already know. The research has to be done, and when that research hasn't been done, we don't know. That's just part of the life in the times we live in today. We just don't have all the facts because we haven't done the research. That's another thing to be careful of. Make sure that you don't read into the information that's there, because as far as cattle causing cancer, they think that it could actually be more along the lines of the way that the cattle products, the beef, is cooked. Where if you're cooking meat on an open flame, they found that some of the chemicals produced by cooking the red meat on an open flame could produce a carcinogen that could be the factor behind what's causing scientists to think that maybe red meat is producing cancer. It may not be true. It could be that those people who are eating red meat, by cooking it over an open flame or over heat that's too hot, could be actually doing it rather than the red meat itself. That's the thing that I would try to say to persuade you to think about things a little further than what you just get on the surface. Dig in deeper. Get the information that they're giving you, and go further with it, and actually look at the information and go out there and find it for yourself. Thank you.